it's just about like curiosity, which is why I started getting like interested in cars in the first place. Which is like, how are they doing this thing? When do you know to do this? When do you know to do this? And it's the same thing with like Facebook, which is, how come I can like or I can poke and then like somebody else
would
gets
receive
it
that?
And stuff. I applied, then I walked in for an interview, and I dressed up. You don't understand. Like I dressed up. Like,
was it like a fashion interview or something?
No, but like I was like, I'm going to office now.
Okay.
So like I dressed up and then I walked in, and I just saw people wearing t-shirts, shorts, and slippers. I'm not even joking. I was like, am I in the right place? See, you are in the UK now. You are experiencing extremely good payment experiences, right? And you're like, this can be better, or we can do better in Nigeria or in Africa, right? Oh, why can't we do this? What's the actual problem? But also, it's seeing just how much growth you yourself, right, you've experienced. So it's like, oh wait, we're not behind. We're actually not
We've
behind.
done a lot of things too. Hi, you're welcome to another episode of Lucky to London, a series where I have conversations with African designers who are now living and working in Europe. On today's episode, I have an extremely special guest. This person was my first leader, my mentor, and he's now my friend. He also moonlights as the Vice President of Design at Flutterwave. Everyone meets Ted. Hi Ted, how are you?
I'm okay.
You are looking okay.
Fresh.
Really, really good. Welcome to this episode of Lucky to London. It's really a privilege to have you here. And I'm so happy that anyone who is watching this is going to have a really good time with this conversation. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay.
I am.
So tell me, Ted, what was your upbringing like? You know, how was growing up for you in, I don't know where you were born, so you have to tell us. Tell us how that journey was like.
Okay. I was born in Ketu, but I grew up in Ikorodu.
Interesting.
Right? So proud Ikorodu boy. But like Ikorodu, I think Ikorodu is better now, but back then it was like village-like, right? So I grew up in Ikorodu. We were always renting, and then I think my parents were like, you know what, we're not doing this renting thing again. So they went to get land, and they started building. But then I think a couple of things happened, and they couldn't complete the full house. So they built half, and it's like living room and 2 rooms. Right. Actually, it's living room, dining, and 1 room. But then we converted the dining
to another room.
So that was like my room, me and my brothers. And
how many brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers.
2 brothers.
Yeah, and that was how we lived for pretty much most of my, I think, teenage life. And then I got into Yaba Tech. But before then, I had started like tinkering with like web development. Yes, on my phone.
On your phone? So you were doing things on your phone. Yeah. And what year was this?
That's tough. I can't remember. Probably 2014-ish. 2014, 15.
2014, 2015. So you said you were during your teenage years that you had started like doing web stuff on your phone.
Yeah.
What's piqued your interest?
Facebook.
And
I think to go.
Oh my God, to go, Jesus.
yeah, but mostly Facebook. It was Facebook. It was like this thing.
So were you like interested in the way it looked or the function or the thing? Like what made you interested?
I think just basically how it was built. Like, how do they build these things, right? Growing up, I wanted to be a medical doctor at first. Like, I think pretty much everybody. Yes. And then I switched to wanting to be like an automobile engineer because my dad was, right?
Okay.
But like, it's just about like curiosity, which is why I started getting like interested in cars in the first place. Which is like, how are they doing this thing? When do you know to do this? When do you know to do this? And it's the same thing with like Facebook, which is, how come I can like or I can poke and then like somebody else
would
gets
receive
it and
that
stuff like that. Yeah. And I basically started Googling it. I think I probably started Googling how to build Facebook.
You wanted to build Facebook?
And then W3 schools came up, and that was how I started doing it.
Is W3 schools like a software or?
Yeah, it's like a learning platform
Okay.
for web development to an extent. So I think they only do HTML, CSS, and some JavaScript. Yeah.
And so you were in, I'm trying to get the story straight. So you were in uni, or you were in secondary school when you started? In between. I
was trying to get admission. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. So did you later get admission?
I did though, when Unilag, so Unilag did not give me admission, as usual, first choice. But they did not give me admission, and I was like, well, do I want to stay at home again? So I did Yabatech, and then I got into Yabatech.
And when you got into Yabatech, did you, like, you were just like going through, was it the same Facebook time, or you got like a job or something to continue like following this interest that you had?
I had not gotten a job when I got into Yabatech, but I was getting really better at HTML and CSS, but again, on my phone. I only got a laptop when I got into Yabatech because I was in computer science. And it was that tiny laptop, the one that they use when they're registering SIM cards, that tiny one. That was what I got going into Yabatech. And I remember getting into Yabatech was now very frustrating because they were teaching us Fortran and like QBasic or Basic or whatever it's called. And like, because I already started writing JavaScript and like HTML, I was just like, what is this? Like, what?
It's not what I'm learning.
Like, what is this? Well, I'm never going to use this. But I tried. I was studying to just pass exams pretty much. Yeah. Oh, and it was part-time actually.
You were doing part-time at Yabatech.
So it was evening classes.
Interesting. So you would
I would go from Ikorodu to Yaba every day.
Every day for study. And when you go back home, you would continue learning about Facebook and things.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were juggling school and this interest that you had.
Yes.
So when did you mentioned that you had already started getting better before you got into Yabatech and you got like this small SIM card laptop.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how you knew that you were getting better, because at this particular time you hadn't gotten a job, right? So you were still doing things by yourself. So what made you feel like, I'm getting better at this thing and this could be a next step for me? Okay, so I did something very funny. I redesigned Nairaland. So I redesigned Nairaland, or I thought I did, right? And then I shared it on Nairaland, and it kind of went viral on Nairaland itself. Right? Wow.
People had attempted to, right, or shared, but somehow my own stood
out.
And that was it. And then I think on Twitter I started following Marcus, right? Okay, before I get there, so I did Nairaland, and I think just getting comments like, oh, this is nice, oh, this is better, oh, this is good, or this is the best redesign of Nairaland we've seen. Kind of like started making me think I was getting good. But also because I think like most people, when you are learning, you're always trying to clone something that currently exists. So just cloning, being able to clone things and like, oh, I think this is close enough.
Looks close enough, yeah.
Yes. So that was it. That was it for me. Yeah. So, yeah.
Before I ask you my next question, so at what point did you then get your break? And break in this sense meaning when did you get your job? Yeah. As a whatever you were.
Yeah. It was Twitter.
Twitter has changed lives, so.
Yes. It was Twitter. Marquesen has always been like famous on Twitter. So I DM'd him. I think he said he was hiring, he was looking for, I don't know, something, a front-end engineer. I then DM'd him. And then he was like, send me something that you've done, right? And then I sent him, I think, the link to Nairaland.
The Nairaland design that you had done.
Yeah. And then it was like, oh, okay, you're this guy. Okay, come to the office. I think they were still with Spark then, so I think they were sharing office spaces with Iroko TV when I went. So I went there. He gave me something to do, like he gave me a task to do. I did it right there and then under my tiny laptop. And then he liked it. And that was it. It was like, okay, you have the job. I was like, oh, okay,
On the
thank you.
spot.
So yeah, when do I
Did you go
resume?
to that place from Ikorodu that morning?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, traffic. That's another thing. Anyways, and then he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. You get the job. I was like, oh, thank you. When do I resume? He was like, you are here already. So start now.
Day one.
So I texted my mom like, I've got the job, but they say I should start now.
This is so funny because this is very similar to my own story. This is my first time hearing this thing, you know. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
so you DM'd him, which was very audacious of you at the time, to DM this person who was already famous or popular on social media and tell them that, oh, you are interested in the job.
Yeah.
And they tell you to come for something, to come to the office.
Yeah.
And you go, you know, you leave everything behind and you literally go there and you get offered the job on the spot.
Yeah.
Wow. So from how long did you spend there then?
Hotels.ng. It was like really tough, right? I think I was there for 8 months.
Okay.
But it was tough because Ikorodu, so the journey is Ikorodu to work, and then from work to school. That was tough. Because,
especially in a place like Lagos.
Yes, my biggest enemy was traffic. So coming from Ikorodu, like going outside of Ikorodu is always tough. Even though eventually BRT came around, but it was still not easy because you spend like hours on the queue, and then when you eventually get a bus, you are unlucky, you won't get a seat, so you stand. So most of the time, I'll stand from Ikorodu to Jibowu, and then I'll get down and then get a bike that will take me to Yabatek bus stop. I'll then get a bus that'll take me to Alagomeji, which was where Hotels.ng office was then. And then we'll finish work in the evening, again, rush hour, and then I'll try and get Keke Marwa or like a bus. Bike will be expensive.
At the time, yeah.
Yes. And sometimes the traffic will just be so hectic. I don't want to miss class or like tests or exams. I will walk from Alagomeji to Yabatek. In fact, there's one I can't forget. It was at night after school. There was traffic, and I think it's not just me. We all got down from the bus. The traffic was that bad. We walked from Mile 12 to Agric.
What?
Yes, but it was fine. I know these two places and fine. It was a bit fun because we were plenty, but still, it was like, yeah, we did that rubbish. Let's
deep down for a minute. So you were at Hotels.ng for 8 months. So how did you move from Hotels.ng to Flutterwave? Because this is where a very interesting part of your story starts.
Yes. So I didn't go directly from Hotels.ng to Flutterwave.
Okay.
I joined Delivery Science.
Okay.
It's another funny story there, but I saw it online. I applied, then I walked in for an interview, and I dressed up. You don't understand. Like, I dressed up.
Was it like a fashion interview or something?
No, but like I was like, I'm going to office now. Okay. So like I dressed up, and then I walked in, and I just saw people wearing t-shirts, shorts, and slippers. I'm not even joking. I was like, am I in the right place? And then I sat down, and these guys were actually laughing. Like, they were laughing. Like,
I will laugh now.
Why did you, like, guy, why did you dress like this? I think I remember Okpe was the one. I was like, guy, what's happened? Like, why did you dress like this?
You need to relax.
Yes, and then the interview was very interesting because I was literally sat in the middle of the office, open plan, and everybody came, like, sat around. And that was the interview. People were just asking me questions like, oh, you did this. How did you do this? Oh, how did you do this? Explain the code, explain the logic, and stuff like that. And they were extremely smart people. So, like, the questions were intimidating. I don't think I did well in that interview, but I don't know. I think they just saw something. Like, I think this guy is good. He's probably just, on the edge.
Yeah.
First of all, he dressed like this. So, yeah, I got the job. So I was there. I was there for a year plus.
Okay.
Then I joined...
was it Dev Center?
Yes. Then I joined Dev Center. Then from Dev Center, I joined another non-profit called Code for Africa.
Okay.
That was where I met Ridwan. I met Ridwan in the gym. I met him in the gym, and I was like, wait, are you the guy that designed Dev Center? I'm like, yeah. It was like, oh, okay. So I work here. Do you want to come and work? And then I think that was when Flutterwave versus Paystack was very like crazy online.
Yeah.
So when he told me about it, I went for the interview. It was good. But I went to Okpe because Okpe was my friend, right? So I was like, guy, Alpha. Okpe work Paystack, obviously. So I was like, guy, Alpha. So offer from Flutterwave, but like, you know, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. Okpe was the one that said, forget what you're seeing online, man. Go and join Flutterwave. You know, it's a solid company. Just forget what you're seeing online and stuff. And yeah, that's how I ended up at Flutterwave as a front-end engineer.
Front-end engineer.
Yes, not design.
Okay, this is the first title we're now hearing. Because I didn't ask about titles all this while. So you joined Flutterwave as a front-end engineer.
Yeah.
So how did you enter, like, how do you find yourself inside the design part of the company then?
So at Flutterwave, in the early days, we were working really fast, right? It was like survival. So we're working really fast. But then we're struggling with design, right? So I think I had taste. I had taste.
You do,
coming from delivery science, where design and front-end engineering were the same. So like we were writing code from our brain. So it's like we're designing with code. Like we're not going into Sketch or there was no Figma then.
Yeah.
Right. So we're just going directly into like designing.
So this is what I have an idea and
yes,
I'm just
writing
to build
the code.
it.
Exactly. So that was what we're doing. But it was not efficient, right? It was not efficient in the context of Flutterwave. But there was another front-end engineer, way better than I was, Nosa. And then we just spoke and like, you know what? What if I just do design and just write the code? Do you think it would be faster? Like, okay, let's try it. So we got into Sketch, our design, we write the code, and we're moving like really quickly. And that was how I became Flutterwave designer.
Wait, that's very interesting. And I think the key thing in this thing that you just said is how you join a company as a front-end engineer, you know, but you realize that there is a gap in another field within the same company, and you decide that you're going to fill that gap. Yeah. But also recognizing the skill of someone else who is a collaborator with you at the company and saying that this person is better than me at this thing. So I'm going to try and solve this problem and work with this other person so that we can be faster and do things more efficiently. I think that's really important, and I'm happy that you shared that because, you know, a lot of the time when people join places or when they want to start somewhere, they are not able to, they can see an opportunity, but they are so focused on what they actually came here for. And while that's really good sometimes, you also have to be able to see that there is a gap here and I can actually solve that problem because you really don't know what's waiting for you on the other side. Anyway, this is not my interview. This is your interview. So you now became like the Flutterwave designer.
Yeah.
Okay, so what were things like at that particular time in terms of when you became a designer at Flutterwave? What were the challenges that you had to, because I'm sure that there was no design team. You're the person saying that you started that. What were some of your biggest challenges at the time?
I think I was lucky with the team that I, you know, started working with, right? We just gelled, which is funny because we did not know each other. But I'll give that credit to Ridwan. He assembled that team, right? And we're just, it was great, right? We understood each other. And I think that was probably the most important thing. Now, for the challenge would be trying to explain design decisions on the fly. Again, emphasis on speed. We're really fast. So it's like, oh, guy, why is it like this? Why not like this? Oh, do it first, I'll explain later, right? But of course, you still have to explain the design decisions and stuff like that. I think that was probably the most difficult thing, but it wasn't difficult for my immediate team. It was, I think, when we had to work with people outside, maybe like the core team, right? And they're like mostly back-end engineers. You have to explain why you are asking them to do more work, just so that some fictional user can have a better experience, right? Were
there any skills and knowledge that you had to gain to allow you thrive in that environment at the time?
To be honest, I wasn't thinking about skills. I think that I just appreciated the team. That was it. I just appreciated the team and the culture. The culture was always focused on the work. So like there was no politics. You didn't have to deal with anything, you know.
Yeah.
Just come to the office, work. If you're tired, sleep under the table. Literally. Just sleep under the table and then wake up and then continue working, right? It was fun. It was fun. But again, Flutterwave's office was on the island. And I was still living in Ikorodu.
You were there for a minute.
But then I moved, right? I moved to Yaba, right? And then it was still tough. And I think that was when I had my first, police encounter. I somehow got a car, right? Flutterwave tried, right? So I somehow got a car. So I was driving, but I would wait because of traffic. So I would stay at the office till like 9, 10, and then drive down because there would be no traffic at that point in time. And then that night I was driving. I didn't see any police checkpoints. It was literally dark. And I was speeding. And then all of a sudden, torchlight from nowhere. There was no way I was going to stop. So I didn't stop. Next thing, ta, 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 ta. And they shot at the car.
They were shooting.
They shot at the car. I had to stop. I was stupid. Thinking about it now. I stopped, got down, and I was shouting at them. Like, shouting at people that just shot at me.
That's shocking.
And I was shouting. I was like, what's that? What the hell? There was no way I would have stopped. Anyways, long story short, I gave them money, paid for the bullets that they shot, because apparently it's a thing. They would have to explain to their superiors
about what happened to the bullets.
So like I paid for the bullets. And I think that was the trigger. So I moved in with my favorite colleague again.
Nusa.
Nusa.
Oh wow, I'm really sorry you had to go through that. First of all, that's not an experience anyone should have. So then you went and you and Nusa moved in together and you guys were living on the island. Yeah. Okay. So my next question for you is, obviously you've been in Flutterwave for how many years now? 6 years.
Yeah.
And we are part of an industry that encourages to a certain extent and supports people who want to move jobs as quickly as they can. What were the things that helps you stay put in Flutterwave for the first 3 years, not even after 3 years, just the first 3 years?
I think I was genuinely enjoying what I was doing.
Okay.
The vision was clear and we were seeing the growth, right? And I think most importantly, we started seeing the impact, right? I think at some point we had to prove why design was necessary, right? Because if you start doing design right, you will be first seen as a blocker, right? It's like, no, I know you want to do this in 2 days, but come on, we have to design this well, right? So I think that what happened for me was when we redesigned Riv, and I'm saying we now because it's now me and Mitch. At that point we redesigned Riv and we saw the immediate impact.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was there and that was it. So at that point, I think as at year 3, I was just enjoying, right? I was just enjoying the work. I was enjoying the team, right? And yeah, that's it. Like we were working towards something and like we could see ourselves getting closer to it. Yeah. So that was it for me, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, so you said that you enjoyed what you were doing, which is really important. You also, there was a clear vision for where the company was headed, and you could also see the impact that was coming from the work that you were doing. Yeah. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Another thing I would like to know, Ted, is you've gone ahead now. You mentioned that it was me and you at this particular time, but now we that's
a good sign.
You have over 20 designers, 23 designers. I can't even wrap my head around 23 people on a Zoom call, at Flutterwave, but that's really amazing. So what are the things that you look out for when hiring designers that helps you build such a strong team of talented people?
I like this question because on the design team, we
almost don't put out job, what's it called now?
Job ads.
Yes, we almost don't. We just do like internal referral, right? Which is, oh, do you know anybody? And that's very important because people would almost always recommend people that they like somehow, right? No matter what that criteria is. And I think that helped build pretty much the best team in the company, right? Because you're almost always recommending your friend or a friend of a friend. And when you're working with people that you enjoy working with, it helps. And I think, again, it stems from my own experience of just meeting Nosa, Amza, Mitch, and then just being friends and then enjoying the work, right? So I think that's one. And then the way we hire. So when we hire, right, even now, we try and find an alignment between the designer's personal goal for themselves and the company goals, right? So I'll explain. If I use my job as an example now, if you ask me what's my goal, right, I would say I'm really just trying to build a team of globally recognized designers from Africa, right? That's personal to me. It has nothing to do with Flutterwave. But how does that align with Flutterwave's goal? It's that by building a team of globally recognized designers and building the best design team for Flutterwave to help Flutterwave achieve their own goals, right? So that's pretty much like how it works. So it's like, if I'm trying to hire a product designer, what do you want for yourself? Are you trying to be the best product designer? Are you trying to be the next Johnny Ive or whatever that is? What's the goal, Sha? Once we can find that alignment, right, it just works because working in payments or a startup generally, it will get frustrating at some point, right? But something needs to keep you going, and it helps when you see it, when you see that you are also working for yourself and not somebody else, right? It just keeps you going. So I think that's the most important thing that we do. That's what informs, or that's what forms the foundation of how we like hire people.
Thanks for sharing that. If anyone is watching here and they want to apply or they want to be referred, I think they should start thinking about what their personal goals are, so that when they get into this interview, they can be able to like communicate that effectively. So how has the design team, how has the design style at Flutterwave changed over the last 6 years that you've been there, from when it was just you to when it was you and I, until now that you are 23 people? How has it progressed over the years?
Oh, it's been tough because I am very strongly opinionated, right?
I like the way you put it.
I know what I want. I know how I want it, right? But I think that as we've like grown, I've had to reduce my own personality on the team and just allow people express their own like style, right? So if you look at Flutterwave's current website, right, of course it's an expression of the brand, but it's also an expression of the team that designed it, right? It goes for like pretty much all our products, right? And I think it helps because even though we're 23, most of the designers still pretty much own the products that they work on. So they almost always have designed end to end. So it's their own. It's their own style. There's a system, but like it's your own expression of it, right? And I think that's it. That's pretty much. Just try and allow people express their own like style. There will be a guideline, right? But like let them put their personality to it. It also helps them see it as their own work.
That's really good. And that was also already, sipping into the next question I had, which was how your value as a designer and a leader, how you imbibe those values into the design team's culture.
Okay, so like I think we had to come up with our values. And I say we because we did it as a team, right?
I think we changed that one.
No, we've not.
I also played a part.
No, we've
not. It's still the same like set of values.
Yeah, those are really strong values.
Yes. So like we've not changed it. It's really still the same. It's still working, right? It's still guiding what we are working on. I guess what has changed now is I'm not designing as much.
You have a 23-man team, you know.
Sadly, I'm not designing as much. So I'm not designing the product as much, but I'm designing a lot for the team.
Okay, like what?
So I'm constantly looking at like personality types and just making sure like the team structure helps avoid clashes, right? Like personality clashes. It's a thing, right? I think people try to avoid it and say just walk the Flutterwave way, or I don't know, walk the Apple way, or whatever it is. But like you can't ignore personality types.
Because people are different at the end of the day.
Yes, when you're doing team like structures or whatever. So like most of the time, the perception of your personality will determine the team that you are going to work in. When it comes to Flutterwave, right? It might not be a product that you like personally, but unfortunately or fortunately,
depends on how you
that's the best place for you because of your personality. Yep. So you don't want to work under maybe a product design lead that you think is too hands-on, for example, right? So the key is not to see the problem as the product design lead being too hands-on. The key is, okay, you are a more independent person. Maybe you thrive better as an individual contributor and not within a team. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a very interesting way to look at it. I don't think I've really gone deeper into that sort of perspective in team structures. Do you have any tools that you're using to like access people's personalities, or how do you kind of like get a sense on?
No, it's just one-on-ones, right?
Your one-on-ones, okay.
That's another unfortunate thing. I can't do monthly one-on-ones with everybody anymore. So what I do is once a quarter with like every single designer, just to make sure that I know you, or the person you are the last time that we spoke is still the person that you are right now. I don't want to depend solely on what your manager is saying, right, about you, right? So I do that quarterly. If we become larger, maybe that would also change, but right now I do that like quarterly, but then my monthly one-on-ones are with
all the leads.
Yeah.
So what part of your job now do you find the most enjoyable compared to
I think starting a new project. Yes, there's something I do, which is when a new project is starting, I try to start it. So if we pick the new Flutterwave dashboard, I started it by just designing the navigation. Okay. But I documented enough, and I think there is understanding enough within the team that just designing the navigation, they pretty much get the vision, and then the other parts, the most important parts, they just figure it out. So it's like, you know what, we're trying to solve for X. This is my interpretation of it. This is what I think is best. Then you guys can decide the rest. The rest
of it. Yes. Is there also room for them to like change?
Oh, they change it. They change most of it.
knowing me, I wish I would have changed something.
Most of the time they change it, right? And I think, to be honest, the first couple of times that it happened, I was like, everyone trying to erase me from this team. Now, wow, like don't erase me now. But yeah, I think over time, I've now figured out that like the maximum impact that I can make will be in just helping the team itself just perform better. So it's like I'm constantly looking at your work. I'm probably not giving direct feedback all the time, but I see everything that you are doing. And then when we speak once a quarter, I'll just give you that insight that will then help you. So my own is just make sure the team keeps giving their best output by fostering that environment or that culture. So it's not by giving direct feedback. Oh yeah, your team said you did terribly last week. No, it's just it looks like the team they've like withdrawn, right? Maybe people are not giving each other feedback anymore. You know what? Let's do paint and sip, right? And then people come together, meet each other again, you know, physically.
Yeah,
and then see that
reconnect.
Yeah, and then just see that this person does not hate you. Right? It's probably just slack, right?
There's no conveying
yes. So that's like pretty much what I do now. Aside sitting with other executives.
As an executive yourself.
Yeah, and then just trying to translate like the company's goals back to the design team. Yeah.
We've spoken a lot about the Lekki part of the show. So let's go right into the London part, you know, which is someone, as if I would say, like with a successful career as yours, you know, working at a company like Flutterwave and being the VP there. What's inspired you to take the step of getting the global talent visa?
Yeah.
You know?
Options. Not needing to apply for visas all the time.
That's key.
Yeah, Nigeria, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm also like with somebody who can travel the world without applying for visas, so I don't want to be the one holding her back.
Nobody wants to be a mechanic.
Exactly.
You know?
So I think that's pretty much it. I think it's about mobility. For me, just I need to get out of the country as quickly as I can. I don't want to have to like spend months waiting for like visa approvals and stuff.
So when you decided to apply for the global talent visa, what were some key parts of your story that contributed to you getting awarded that with the endorsements?
I think it's just, for me personally, I think it's impact. I think a lot of people are still surprised that like a company of Flutterwave's, I guess, size can come out of Africa, right? I remember, I think 3 years ago when I was in San Francisco, and you say, oh yeah, I work at Flutterwave, and you're like, Flutterwave? What's that? What do you guys do? And stuff like that. And then now, if you just say, I work at Flutterwave, you say it with so much confidence. Yeah. And like, if you don't know it, go and Google it.
Bro,
like,
you need to do your Google.
I'm sure whatever you see, you change your mind, right? I think that's it.
Yeah, so that's impact, you know, it's undeniable.
It's impact, yeah.
Anyone I talked about GTV always talks about impact and impact and impact. So I feel like that's something that a lot of people who want to apply for the visa as well need to really sit with themselves and think about, like, what have I done in the course of my career that has been impactful? And it doesn't really matter, like, for some people you have done one thing and it's really, really big, but some other people you have done like something that has impacted a few people, and you can put all of those things together and put in your application. So how has the visa, you know, impacted you yourself now? Like, you've got this visa like last year, I think, almost a year since you did. So how has it made you how has it impacted you as a person, as a leader, as a designer? Anything you can share?
Okay, so I think as a designer, right, I think it's more exposure, right? Say you are in the UK now, you are experiencing extremely good payment experiences, right? And you're like, this can be better, or we can do better in Nigeria or in Africa, right? Oh, why can't we do this? What's the actual problem? But also it's seeing just how much growth you yourself, right, you've experienced. So it's like, oh wait, we're not behind. We're actually not
We've
behind.
done a lot of things too.
Like, we're actually not behind. Like, oh, okay. Oh, this is how you guys pay here. We've been doing it for like 3 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, you mean you guys can't do interbank transfer? Sorry. We've been doing that, right? So I think I'll just say the exposure is good for both. It's good as validation, and also proof of where you can actually still like be, or like what you can do, right? It just broadens your view
Your horizon,
of life.
Yeah, that's really strong.
Yeah.
That's really, really strong. I have to go think about it myself. You know, you've said something really important of how you got the visa and now you're exposed to technology and solutions that inspires you to do more, but also lets you know that the one that you've been doing, you shouldn't like look down on it as well, because you've really done things that are world class and far ahead as well. Anything for you as a leader, you know, how has it impacted you?
Okay, I think I don't know what the right word for it is. So with Flutterwave, right? It's like, okay, it's a $3 billion plus value company, right? And you're a vice president, but you still think, yeah, I'm a vice president, but it's Flutterwave, right? You think that you are lower than vice president of another company that is valued the same, or like on the same level, right? Just because it's not from Africa, you just
feel like
think
it's
that
more important, they've done something else.
And then you start meeting these people and you're like,
now we will.
is this it? You are serious?
I can relate.
Yeah, so I think that is good for, it's also good for self-esteem. Let me put it like that. Where you just think, yeah, you've been in Nigeria most of your life, but like you've done incredibly well, right? There's a reason most of these companies don't expand directly into Africa, and the approach is, let's buy one successful company because it's hard and they are doing it, so let's just buy them as against trying to go and
do it ourselves.
Yeah.
It's validation.
But also I think as a leader, one other thing that I am proud of is every single designer that has left the team. Not a lot, by the way, in case you are wondering.
Not a lot, I could agree with that.
Yeah, that has left the team. They've gone on to, I think, work at companies that they've always dreamed of. Yeah. Right? And like, they are not just working there. They're doing extremely well. Like, they're doing really well there. And that's always a thing. It's always a bragging right for me, right? For myself, which is, they left. Is sad, but it's also good, right? It's always mixed feelings when they have to leave. But you think, hey, when this person joined, as at when they joined, there was no way they would have gone on to like this other company. But like they joined Flutterwave, they got better, they contributed significantly to the growth of the company, and then they've moved on to, pretty much where they've always dreamed of, right? Yeah, that's also always a good thing. And then coming there, right, maybe UK or whatever, any other European country, and meeting them and like, look at us, we're meeting outside.
I hope you're adding this thing to your pitch when you're trying to hire people, because join me and who should I name? DB.
Oh no, it's also always funny. I think a lot of people who apply to work at Flutterwave already know these stories and always apply because of what they already know, right? It's like, Mitch joined this other company from Flutterwave, right? That's good. I think I want to do that too. Yeah. So even if people see Flutterwave design as a stepping stone to where they actually want to be, I think that's good.
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it, and that also shows me how like much you've like also grown as a leader, because when I was leaving,
I wanted to die.
That's really good. I'm really impressed. So what are you looking forward to doing, or what have you been doing in London? How are you finding London, and what are the things that you're looking forward to doing while here?
Yeah, I've been risking my life in Winter Wonderland.
Yeah, but I've also been meeting like people
that I've always known on Twitter. Yeah. In Nigeria. Never met them in Nigeria, but like after meeting them, here in London. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. And I think it's also proximity to like other leaders, right? It's very easy to say or to just randomly reach out to somebody, knowing fully well that if they say let's meet, like, oh yeah, I'm here. Let's meet.
Let's meet here, you know.
Yeah, let's meet. So yeah, it's. I think that's the fun part. London is fun. I miss Lagos already. But yes, I think London is fun.
London is fun. Wow, this has been a very, you know, insightful episode. But the last question I have for you is, imagine there's someone watching this video who is in Ikorodu right now. And they have dreams. The dreams might not even be so big as to where they want to be, but they know they just want something different. They want to change their life in a certain way. Yeah. What advice can you give to them?
Okay. I mean, if you're in Ikorodu or anywhere like Ikorodu, you'd understand me when I say it's a trap. Get out of that place first, right? Whatever that means, right? Maybe you're still living there, but every weekend you are going to, I don't know, the island or like the mainland, because you don't live on the mainland. That's not shit. But like, just go out to where like the people who are already where you want to be, where they live or where they meet or where they hang out, right? Just go there, right? Even if that's like tech events, right? Or restaurants or the beach or the cinemas, right? Just try and get out.
Yeah.
So you can see what's possible. It's very blinding when you are there and you are reading about things online, right? So just try and get out first, right? It can be going to Yabatech or Unilag. You don't school there, just go there, just be going there, like as much as you can. I think the opportunities will come. Also, just
shoot your shot. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yes.
Shoot. Just like you are not qualified, but try. So the role might be senior
Product designer or product designer, and you think you're a junior.
Apply. While the application or like the ad is for a senior, you don't know that they are not looking for a junior. Right? Just apply first. There might just be something that they would see and just like, okay, let's even try this person intern or like whatever it is, and then just join. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Those are what can I even say? He said it all. Two things you need to leave with this from this video. The first thing is get out and see the possibilities that exist. Go to the places that you want to be and see how people there, what they eat, what they drink, what they say, what they wear. You know, you need to familiarize yourself with the places that you want to go to. And secondly, shoot your shots.
Yeah,
that's the best way to end this video. Shoot your shots today, tomorrow, next week. Shoot your shots.
DM that person.
Yes, DM that person. Bye.